my Mavs UK fans, welcome back to the channel. We have another episode to talk about. 4 of our couples are on their beautiful honeymoon. 2 are doing extremely well, and the other 2 are nothing but bumpy and rocky, and we got to talk about it. Welcome back to Romance Review TV. It's Lady T. I got another recap for you guys. Married at First Sight UK Season 8, Episode number 6. And without any further ado, let's talk about this episode. So now we're on our honeymoons for our latest 4 couples. We have Peggy and George, Shauna and Brad, Porsha and Terence, and Tasha and Paul. And we had some good times, we had some bad times, and we had some rocky times too. So without further ado, let's start with our first couple, Shauna and Brad. Okay, so I wanted to get the good ones out of the way first because of the fact that I love and romance, and there's no exception for these 2. Look like the L word have been bounced around. We had Heavy and Like. I think she fell in love with him at the reception. And then they had some conversations, some romantic massages. I mean, it looked kind of Kama Sutra almost. But these 2 are absolutely adorable together. I mean, the chemistry is on point. They have a lot of things in common. One of the things that they talked about is kids and whether or not they see themselves maybe having kids in the next 5 years. Now, Shauna's answer to that question is she want to be pregnant probably in the next 2 with at least her first child. So he looked like he was very open to that, which, hey, I guess that's something that is a core value. So absolutely, you want to know if your partner wants kids as well that soon. The other thing is toward the end, she wanted to know where he stand in regards to her. The honeymoon was about a week, and so he finally said he is more than in like with Shauna. He is falling in love with Shauna. Now, the interesting thing about it is that a lot of people might think this is kind of fast, but I think the purpose of this experiment is to actually see that if you scientifically match people up on certain core values outside of the drama that they tend to add to this show, can they actually connect and make a match that could last for a lifetime? And hey, they got to live together. They're in that honeymoon phase. Everything is all stars, rainbows, and, romance. So we'll see how long this lasts. But the 2 of them, yeah, they are very much falling in love with each other at this point. So we'll see when it comes to Shauna and Brad if they can withstand the test that's coming up for this particular experiment and see if they can last. Next up is Tasha and Paul's honeymoon, and again, this is another couple that did extremely well. Now, I gotta say with Paul, he seemed like he is absolutely enamored when it comes to Tasha. The only interesting thing with Tasha to me is the fact that she has had a history of toxic relationships where, it ended up where she was gotten hurt. The thing is, can she actually believe that Paul is being sincere with her? Because she held up her guard throughout this entire honeymoon. I mean, they had a shower together. They did also a couples massage together. And I gotta say, Paul, you got a nice butt. I gotta give it to you. But anyway, they actually really were vibing together. They have a connection that seemed to be growing, but you can tell by the expression on Tasha's face that she's just not 100% sure, and she's guarded. And that's why you have to deal with your traumas from your past relationships before getting into a new one, because that's not fair for the new person if they're putting their all into the process. Hopefully, he's given her the time to actually take her time with this process, which is great. However, he's putting his cards on the table. He really likes Tasha. The only thing is, can she bring her guard down? I mean, even in the last night, he said that she seems like first crush from high school. That's how well the 2 of them were doing. But in the meantime, we got to see, as much as he's putting forth a lot of effort to reassure her, whether or not she's going to be able to let those guards down. Now we have Peggy and George. Now, at the wedding, I gotta say, George kind of got a bad rap, especially from his best man putting that information out there, because Peggy was excited at the altar and that did a 180 at that reception. So she was feeling some kind of way. Now, I gotta say, looked like to me, I don't know if this was for drama, but there was a trick question thrown in there about adult content and whether he would be okay with his wife doing maybe OnlyFans or something like that. And he was like, well, whatever you want to do. Well, that's not the answer she wanted to hear. And I think he was coming from a place of, hey, you know what? It's your body, your choice. You can do what you want. But in her head, she was thinking like no man should ever expect his woman to do that. And so there was a miscommunication there. He actually took some time after the conversation because she was not happy with them in that conversation. And then he came back later after having some thought about what happened. And it looked like they were at some form of a vineyard. He had a conversation with her as they went to, I think it was a market or something, and let her know that, look, you know what? I wouldn't want my wife to do that. I was just giving you the option to choose. And then she was happy about that. Then we had another situation that came up with these two when it came to his gaming and his fitness. That whole thing went left. She thought it was a sensual thing. He said it was only fitness. She wasn't happy about it. She walked away. And then once he came back and wrote that letter, she was all smiles. My thing is, this up and down upheaval is going to drive him insane. So we'll have to see if these two can actually make it to the end, because I don't know. I'm not too sure about this, because what's next on her list? Or is he going to do something silly to, make her upset again? So we'll have to see. And last but definitely not least, Porsha and Terence in Morocco. And this one was a mismatch from the beginning. You got church girl with party boy. And I know that they patched these two together for the drama, and it just went left. So the first issue with them is the question that she asked him about 50-50. And he was like, yeah, let's go 50-50. I'm okay with that. Well, she does not do 50-50. She expects the man to provide, and pay all of the bills. And when Terrence realized that, he said that, I recognize those expectations, but that's not what's going on over here. And he also said that she needed to bring some things to the table. And then there was this issue about him giving 100% versus 40% because it's quiet time for her in the morning and in the evening, and she peaks in the afternoon. It was just a whole lot of issues with these two. There's a lot of conflict, and it just went to this whole, they tried. She's trying to stick through the process, and there's some information that I'm going to probably do a separate video, because it gets real dicey with these two when somebody get their clothes cut up and shredded that they had to call the police. So stay tuned for that video. But the thing is that these two were a mismatch from the start. And I just hate the fact that I know TV shows have to be entertaining, but at whose expense? Because now you got these two at each other's throats. And at the same time, she has these expectations, and he's like having a totally different lifestyle. She's been staying up to compensate the fact that he tends to get his life going after 11 o'clock. So it's just a mess at this point. So we got to stay tuned. And yeah, you guys stay tuned for that video that I'm going to do about what she has been doing and how Terrence had to call the police on her. Okay, so let's get the conversation started down in the comment section. What do you think about our two couples that are doing well so far in this process? Tasha and Paul, and Shauna and Brad. And then what about Peggy and George? Do you think that was a trick question that they threw in for drama? And as for Porsha and Terrence, why did they put them together even in the first place? So I hope you enjoyed this recap. Stay tuned for other recaps and updates on this channel. And until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Bye.